Today's episode is about shame, toxic shame in the body, in the mind, and we're going to be using some cards and a spread to play around with what is psychically happening, intellectually, mentally, emotionally, and see what comes up. So the first card that I saw when unboxing this new deck that I have, which is called the self-awareness card deck, was to whom are you comparing yourself? And I feel like this is extremely relevant for at least my sense of shame, which I can't say it's the same for everybody else, but I know that for myself, shame builds up in me when I compare myself to others, and I notice that there are traits about myself that don't look the same in others, or traits about other people that I'm failing to find in myself. And I start to shrink, and I really start to internalize my fault in the situation. And I want to say that this is something that I've felt for a long time. It definitely has, been, it's definitely been present in my childhood. I'm having a hard time talking about this because I don't necessarily want to blame anybody, which feels like another trait of shame, right? That it has to be somebody else's fault, because it has to be somebody else's fault, but at the same time, you're really aware that it's your fault. But I think because cognitively, it causes so much pain to hold this idea that you are fundamentally wrong, or objectively wrong. Because of how much pain that causes, we look to put that blame on somebody else and take the pain off of ourselves. And so maybe the question is not, who's at fault, but what feels most proactive? What is the most proactive response to feeling shame? So I want to use a very simple example that has been relevant for me. Is I used to look at my body and not really like the way that I looked. And I remember when, even a couple months ago, my movement in my body felt so heavy. I was looking at myself in a way that just felt so heavy. It felt like I was a wet towel, like a soaked towel. And I couldn't move in the way that I wanted to. I was so self-aware of how I was moving. And I felt like I was moving as if, I had 300 more pounds of fat on me than I actually did, or 300 more pounds of weight on me than I actually did. And that was because I had a poor relationship to my body, because I was not feeding it in the right way. I wasn't moving it in the right way. I wasn't intimate enough with my body to appreciate it and accept it as what it was. But on top of that, it wasn't enough for me to just see myself in the way I was and try to coax myself out of the pain by telling myself, you know what, but all of these things that you believe, all this pain that you feel, it's not true, because you are fundamentally worthy and you don't have to do anything to prove your worth. This is true. We are fundamentally worthy, but that wasn't going to make the pain go away, because the true pain was not that I couldn't think of myself in the way that I wanted to. That's true. But I feel like the core of that pain came from leaving myself at a disadvantage, because I wasn't taking accountability for my body. I wasn't taking accountability for my strength and my movement. And that's exactly what's happening today. That's exactly what's happening with the shame that I feel today, where I started to feel like relative to my partner that I started to feel just really small. Like I wasn't doing enough. Like I was, why would they want to be with me if I can't even like be as mature, or, if I can't, what even was it specifically? I'm forgetting now, because that's kind of how this works, right? It's never that actual thing, but it's what feelings our minds and our bodies are trying to force out of us. But, and I'm looking at the Chiron card right now, and that's so beautiful. With the square aspect right behind it. Such a challenge. This is such an abrasive challenge. So I'm so glad we're talking about this. So what I was feeling today and a little bit of yesterday was, this shame that like, oh, so I'm the one that's always in the wrong. Like it always feels like, and these are very, hyperbolic words. So I know that it's not my true self that's speaking, but it's this person who feels that shame, that feels that they're always in the wrong, that no matter what they do, they just can't seem to get it right, and that, maybe they just shouldn't, to be honest, it gets as extreme as maybe they shouldn't just exist at all. Like, why are you here? Why are you just continuing to fail? And I think that it was so affecting to me because of the fact that I know that I'm not putting in the effort that I could be in my life, and with regards to my goals and my self-improvement and my learning and studying. I know that I could be doing more. And I kind of picked up somewhere along the way recently this idea that no, what you're doing, where you are is perfect. Don't feel any shame. Don't feel any negativity towards yourself, right? That toxic positivity. And actually, I think in this case, a little bit of shame might be good. Feels like it might be good to let yourself realize that you are not where you want to be. The thing that we struggle with, though, is that we don't have the tools to push ourselves into action, to take ownership of ourselves, to regain ownership of ourselves, and to trust ourselves. We don't potentially have those tools. And so instead we choose the easier route of self-soothing in the moment that says, you're fine. You didn't do anything wrong, or, that always, that narrative that always seeks to make us the innocent victim. And to be honest, I don't want to feel that way anymore. Sure, maybe capitalism is, has some really, really, really fucked up traits about it. And I didn't choose this system, and I didn't choose to be here, and all these other things that I really held on to a couple years ago and feel like I'm still working through. Maybe I didn't choose to be here, but I'm here. I'm here, and I can't deny the fact that I am also capable. I have a capacity to move, to process information, to pick up a book, to study something. I have that ability. And when I tell you it has been the most grueling process of moving through day to day, feeling so much pity and shame for myself, and remediating that with, oh, but it's okay, this isn't fair anyway. I feel like that doesn't really help you get anywhere. It really doesn't. So on the flip side to that, I am all about right now claiming ownership over what is in my capacity, claiming ownership over myself, my body, my choices, right? So hopefully that's a little bit useful for you. One of the choices that I need to claim ownership is over this podcast, because I love this podcast space. I love what it feels like to sit down and share my words and my feelings. And remembering that card that I saw, to whom are you comparing yourself to? And remembering that most of the time where I face a wall is when I think that I'm not doing something the way that other people would, and that's a problem. But that's not a problem, because this is me and this is my life, and it's up to me how I choose to create. It is in my right to choose how I create. And to be honest, I feel a lot of invigoration and want to create in a lot of different beautiful ways. So, am I apologizing for my truth? This is the card that I see on the top of this self-awareness card deck. So I'm going to shuffle this and pull another one, but let's go ahead and read this. Am I apologizing for my truth? What part of you is apologizing for your truth, and why? Today, be proud of your truth. Catch yourself when you want to apologize or withhold parts of it. You never know whose life you will change when you are brave enough to speak it. Be the lighthouse that shines on the courage that lives in all of us. This will give others permission to speak their own truth, and there is room for all of us. Today's quote-unquote mantra is courage is contagious. And that is so true. So I'm going to leave that card out. And I want to get into another question for ourselves from this deck. Another question, because these are all questions, essentially. The back of the card has the main question, then it kind of gets into their little tidbits about it. So, how can I deepen my trust right now? And how can I infuse more self-love and compassion into my daily life? Really quickly here, this second question is exactly what I want to talk about. How can I infuse more self-love and compassion into my life? If you are somebody who feels like they want to put themselves more into action, and that, this narrative of like self-love and compassion has kind of left you a little bit, lazy, then let's talk about it. I think for specific types of people, it can be really easy to relinquish or surrender choice or surrender taking accountability for your life and taking accountability for your action, surrender that to what we're calling self-compassion. Meanwhile, you know that to truly be compassionate to yourself would look like making the changes that you know will improve your future, improve your tomorrow, improve you a year from now. You will not go anywhere if you are not changing the way that you are treating yourself, the way that you are pursuing your goals, right? You really will not. So for a lot of us, this question of how can I infuse more self-love and self-compassion looks more so like, how can I challenge myself to be more realistic and more present and aligned with my goals? So some of the back of the card, some of the soul actions or self-care actions to do today include: set stronger boundaries, meditate and listen to your heart, speak to yourself with compassion, focus on your strengths, say no to something that isn't a soul yes, say yes to something that you are afraid of, let go of what you cannot control, stay far away from drama and negativity, ask for help and allow it, and write down 3 things you are grateful for. Again, for people with, so for me, for example, I have a Jupiter in Pisces, in tropical Pisces. I have a 12th house Venus opposing that Jupiter in Pisces, in the 6th house. My soul, as I understand it, does not want to do anything here. You know, when I tune into my soul, what I understand mentally is soul want feels like drifting with the wind or being consumed or embodied by the ocean. Okay? So when I hear something like this, to me, it feels less like it's empowering me to action and more so like it is empowering my detachment, empowering my dissociation. And that is very specific to me, and hopefully, I mean, maybe it resonates with some other people, and I'm not just, speaking on something that only I've ever experienced, but I doubt that. So I like this one, though, that says, say yes to something you are afraid of, right? Set stronger boundaries, and that includes with yourself. So I think sometimes we fall victim to the belief that we are never the problem. And maybe this is what was happening with me. I believed that, well, I can't be the problem because I'm doing so much to try to be perfect. Why would I be the problem? And not realizing that, like, a lot of the times the problems that you were going to face with other people come from an inability to handle, like, your own personal challenges. So when I see how can I infuse more self-love and compassion into my daily life, I want to feel a little bit of challenge with that. So then remember we have, how can I deepen my trust right now? Let go of the wheel. You can trust. You can trust yourself. Trust fully in yourself so that you can deepen your trust in others. Trust creates safety, and when we feel safe, we feel unstoppable. Let go and trust. Today, find your center in the chaos and be certain with yourself so you can deepen your trust in others. All right, I feel like these cards are asking us to do a lot, okay? That's a lot. How do you just jump into trusting yourself when you maybe have been a chronic dissociator or, you haven't really learned how to trust other parts of yourself that you need to be functioning on this 3-dimensional plane? So let's consult. Let's pull some astrology cards for this. These cards are so beautiful also. These are awesome, and they have little tidbits of words underneath here. So obviously our focus is trust and challenging ourselves. Challenging ourselves to really take hold of the reins. So when I hear this, let go of the wheel, trust, just trust. Yes, that's great, but as somebody who's already swimming in the ocean, I think I kind of need to, like, grab hold of this wheel. I need to steer us, either deeper into the ocean or preferably to shore right now. That's just where I am. So how can I deepen my trust right now? Speaking not just for me, but for this collective of beautiful ears that are listening. How can I deepen my trust right now and infuse more self-compassion, more self-love into my daily life? Emphasis on daily life. Self-compassion, self-love, and deepening my trust. So it's not going to be easy. I mean, that's for sure. Second house is coming up here. with square and water. I'm going to get one more card. Okay, thank you. And Jupiter. So Jupiter was almost like, yeah, I don't know if I should be in this conversation, you know, because, like, I'm just kind of like... In my heart, I feel this... Oh, now we have to hold up a mirror to the part of you that feels shame for not wanting to grab hold of the wheel. The part of you that feels shame for drifting through the ocean or wandering and meandering and whatnot. So my question then here is it productive to who you want to be? That would be my main question. Is what you are doing on a daily basis truly productive to who you want to be and how you want to feel? Not just in the moment, but do you feel that you are taking those steps to increase your value? And that means to increase your self-awareness of your value. Have you really done enough? You know? Because I'm feeling this water card is very dark and ominous. And I have never seen water really displayed in this way, but it looks like there is a foggy, mirrored reflection of the moon in a very swampy type of marsh creek area. Water here is next to the second house, and we have the square aspect and Jupiter on either end. So where we might be expecting ease, and I think this is great because we're translating Jupiter and Jupiterian energy as growth and expansion here, which in Jupiter's defense doesn't come always with ease, right? Jupiter is a planet that just amplifies. So if you are challenging yourself, Jupiter here is going to act as an amplification. My Jupiter in the 6th house of Pisces, if I let myself fall into the victim mentality or choose to just completely be laissez-faire and have no, not insert myself in the world or not insert myself in life in a way that looks like I get to see my impact and my actions impact the world, then Jupiter is also going to emphasize that. Jupiter is going to say, okay, this is how you want to feel. Like, I got you. Let's feel this way. Let's be the most, chill and laid back, even though that's never going to happen because I'm a Virgo, Sun and Mercury and Venus in tropical. So, that's truly never going to happen because it can't, because I will not allow it. There's too much control that I'm placing over my mind and my body and my actions. So wherever Jupiter is, it's going to add gasoline to the fire, but it's more so it's okay, you wanted to burn this shit up. Here's 10 times as much more material to set a flame. Take it. Here, do you need more? I got more. Take it. So when we maybe get a little stuck in these watery, because again, the 12th house is a watery house. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. These are our water signs that, sometimes can fall and fall deep, whether that's falling deeply in love, pursuing a passion so deeply and so strongly because that's just where they've become tunnel vision, or falling into really deep psychologically destructive states of depression or whatever. It can be a little bit dangerous when it stops being productive, when it no longer feels proactive. Now, let's talk about the second house here. We have second house of physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth. I feel like this is a call to, for us to kind of get a little bit more clarity about what we're doing this for, about how do we need to authenticate our existence. Now, I love you, and I know that you are worthy, and you were born worthy, etc., etc. But let's talk about the second house a little bit. If we want to get real about what we're doing on the day-to-day, this second house with the water and Jupiter, the way that this is presenting itself to me right now is it's just soggy. It's soggy. It's falling through, it's pudgy. It just is so soft. There is no drive. There's no hard angle besides the square. That's crazy that we talk about that now. So you have to find a way through this softness that you seem to care about so much, whether it's because it elevates you, because it is a coping mechanism, it is just the way that you surrender. This is the energy of like a fish turning belly, like the underbelly of a fish. You know how soft that is? Okay, where again, we can think about Cancer here. I'm thinking about Cancer with the water signs also. Where is your shell? And the shell, let's talk about the shell. Let's talk about the second house. That is your shell. That's your shell. Your day-to-day, on the day-to-day, how do you enforce that shell? Because to be honest, this softness is sacred. It's sacred, which means that it's really reserved for very intimate and potentially private moments. This is not how you go up against the shoulders of people every day, right? If you let yourself get too comfortable in this softness, then potentially you might run into problems of consuming other people, like consuming so much from other people, being like a sponge, being a wet sponge, taking in too much from other people, right? Whether that's other people's opinions, other people's attention, like you need to be able to stand up for yourself, stand on your own. We need this hard angle. We need this abrasion. I used this analogy with my friend one time of, it's like sharpening a dull knife. It doesn't feel good. It's abrasive. Where you are the knife, your mind is the knife, your body is the knife. It's abrasive. It hurts, right? But you need that grit. You need that coarseness to sharpen yourself up so that you can cut more efficiently, so that you can do your job more efficiently. And I'm not just talking about whatever job the matrix has constructed for you, or whatever you've chosen in the matrix, but your job as an individual, a human being who is not a jellyfish, who is not a drop of the ocean, even though, metaphorically we are, metaphysically we are, you are a very specific entity, and you need to get moving. You need to use what resources you have and do something with them. This is that second house. First of all, you need to recognize your self-worth. And that doesn't mean again, self-love, self-worth, self-compassion. That doesn't mean you shrink and you get into this narrative of, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You're okay. You don't have to do anything. That's fine, but not when you know that you could be doing so much more for yourself. Right? Right. I hope you're on this frequency. So, let's get into the cards. Let's talk a little bit more about it. First of all, I want to say congratulations to myself, but also to you if you're feeling this way. Congratulations to the emperors, right? We have the emperor coming out here. This is a congratulations of, it's barely a congratulations, because you know what? There's more work to be done. And this is you realizing that. This is you realizing, like, finally, for fuck's sake, like, the power lies in your hands, which means that there has to be effort applied. Your power is not going to just sit and get stagnant. And I'm looking at that water. This water has to move. If you leave this water to become stagnant, especially with Jupiter, with this type of like, feel better, it's okay, honey, like you're doing fine. And you're just like, you're a stagnant mess. That water, that energy will never clear itself away if you don't start shifting things around, using your body to open up a channel and feel your vitality come back to you. Now, the devil also came out here, and this is great because this is exactly the conversation that I've been having with myself for a while, especially when we talk about capitalism, especially when we talk about like wealth disparity, billionaires versus wage workers versus the people who like have lost their jobs versus people who struggle with some type of debilitating addictions or debilitating type of inflictions that just put them on, the other end of the spectrum. So for myself, it's been really difficult to reckon with how I can pursue responsibility, which right now I'm very focused on financial responsibility because my physical security in this dimension, in this time that we're playing with in this matrix, my physical security is wholly dependent on my ability to use my resources, right? So one, that's the resource of like community, but two, what most people in my community are using anyway is money. That's the way that in this space and time things work. So my physical security ultimately is dependent on how I gain an income and create an income. And so I have been struggling with, well, if my goal is to create an income and to make money for myself, does that make me as bad as the people who are wealth hoarding or, people whose sole intent is to make money, who don't care about other people, who don't care about making the world a more livable place for other people, right? As long as they're fine, that's all that matters to them, right? That's kind of like the sentiment. And so I've been struggling with that devil, this fear that, oh shit, I'm going to become like really fucking greedy and, like there's no way to do this cleanly, like there's no way to do this properly because money is just inherently dirty. And that is not a way that I want to feel, because that was so toxic to me. I couldn't really find a way to rationalize like being a wage worker who's putting in 100% effort or 90% effort or whatever, but receiving a wage that I know is only compensating maybe 20% of my efforts. So my self-worth and my value, my acknowledgement of that tells me that being in this place, it's not equal. My acknowledgement of my self-worth is exactly what tells me that working in this way is not productive for me and what I can offer to the world. And it's not just the wage, but it's the type of work that I do. And realizing like, okay, what I actually want to do is X, Y, and Z. What I actually want to do is this. I want to be speaking to people. I want to be, there's so many things I want to do. But anyway, so this conversation with the emperor and the devil, and there being something that, wants to hold you back, wants to keep you in your chains, whether that is a fear or shame or your insecurities, whether that is the fear or the shame that comes with wanting to be wealthy, right? Because that's what it was for me, is that there is so much shame in wanting to be wealthy. Why am I allowed to want to be wealthy? Or why am I allowed to? Because to me, being wealthy in the way that I want to come into it means having some type of like ambition or strength to pursue my my goals, or to pursue self-improvement. That's what it means to me now. That's what I'm understanding, how I'm understanding that I'm correlating the two together. So, and as somebody also who really wants to fall in line with the emperor, this is making me happy to see. The devil will just keep you fucking tied up with all sorts of tricks and gimmicks and all sorts of ways of telling yourself that either you're not good enough, or you know what, maybe you don't deserve this. Like, you're fine even without it. You're fine not pursuing these things, even though you know deep inside your body, you know that you need to make a change. You know that you need to boss up a little bit, right? So with respect to that bossing up, there is a way that you know intuitively for yourself, okay, I can do this in a way that satisfies my spiritual objectives, my spiritual language, in a way that, keeps me aligned with my morals, right? So, I'm curious though, how many of us feel like until we see the vision of exactly what we want, we're not going to move? Until we know exactly what all the A, B's, and C's are, we're not going to form an opinion. So we can't form an opinion, so we're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to move until we know exactly what it is, exactly how we're going to move through it, exactly how we expect it to affect us. We're not going to do anything. Realize how that's actually making you stuck. Realize how that keeps you stuck. Realize also how, and I don't want to say it's all or nothing, there has to be a balance here, because in the same vein, we can't go anywhere. Unless we, pick a direction, right? You could just stand in one place and just pitter-patter in circles, right? But we tend to choose our direction based on our curiosity, right? Ooh, damn, this is a lot. So maybe we'll just play a little mind game right now. Let's try that out. Let's play a little mind game. So if you can, close your eyes. If not, just take a deep breath and keep doing whatever you're doing, but just feel the inside of your skull. Feel your cheeks. Feel your cheekbones. Blink your eyes a couple times. Feel your eyelids. Now I want you to picture yourself standing on a globe. This is just the vision that's coming to mind, so work with me. We're standing on a globe. And you can make yourself as big, as small as you want, put other people on the globe or not. But what is the first image that comes to mind when I ask you to do this? What is the very first image? Now, notice that you have an entire universe surrounding you, right? I know it's enchanting. I know it's seductive. Maybe you want to just go drift off into the deep, vast... Okay, hold up. No, we can't do that. We can't. Come back to earth. Remember where you're grounded. Remember where you're planted. Open your fucking eyes, because this is where you are, here and now. Now, be so fucking for real right now. You have been picking up little pieces of your life, like picking up the little pebbles of your life and just tossing them and being like, okay, I guess I'll go that way. I'm just going to throw it this way. Okay, I guess I'll go that way and see what's over there. Oh, wow, that's so cool. Now I kind of want to see what's over there, because that inspires me a little bit. And that's okay. That's how we learn. That is the childlike curiosity that we need to stay with us. But you know what? I would not want my child roaming the woods by herself with no adult chaperone to kind of guide her back to the trail, right? And I think this is maybe why... Oh, let me see. Oh, there we have it. We have air coming out. Open-mindedness, objectivity, and learning. And we have a bunch of mountains pictured here, and just that vision of like, let's go trek, let's go walk, you know. Maybe this is your approach to life. We have the first house with individuality, self-image, and approach to life. Maybe that's just how you feel like you like to move. And that's awesome. I get it. I have a Gemini midheaven. I get it. I get it, baby. I get it. I'm very mutable also. I have a moon in the first house. Like, I'm not so good with you know, making decisions outside of how I feel in the moment, you know? I get it. I get it. I really do. But listen, all I'm trying to say is that we need a balance. We need to know that, like, okay, I can flirt with my experience of this beautiful earth, but I'm on a journey. I'm walking, I'm moving, I'm swimming. I'm not just gonna stop one day and be like, okay, this is it, I want to die. No, like, you are here for the long run, my dear. We are here for the long run. And I know how enticing it is to want to go live with the stars. I get that. I know what that feels like so deeply. So deeply. And you know what? You don't even have to heed my advice, but for those of you who are on the same track that I do, it feels like we need to come back to earth. We need to center ourselves, ground ourselves in our body, because we have so much valuable resource to give. We really do. You know, whether you choose to organize some content around your explorations, let it be productive. Because I think we have to remember that other people learn from us as much as we learn from the world, right? And you are a part of that. Other people are learning from you, from what you're doing. They're being inspired by you. You're a part of that. And I don't want you to feel like, you know, like it's not worth it. Like, your experiences or your efforts are not worth it. They are, and they're going to give you more and more fruit to go experience. There is so much to experience. So I want to wrap up this message now. What is there? We have the conjunction card coming out and the Two of Swords. So I don't think we're quite... We have the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck with the Eight of Cups. Okay, so this might be a little bit sticky. It might be a little bit difficult to come out of, which is, again, I'm thinking of Jupiter and water. We just want to stay under this soothing blanket, right? We just want to stay in that foggy space where everything feels so soft and like you don't really have to deal with the struggles of how harsh and chaotic this universe actually is. But you're here, baby. We have that square. You're playing the game. You are playing the nature game. And I know that you can build a hard shell. And you kind of have to. You really kind of have to. So, take a little bit more time. Say your goodbye to this sleepy space. Or hold it, keep it in your pocket, trust that it's there. But for those of us who are on this frequency of moving, you're ready. You're ready. You've been ready. And, maybe there are some other people who just aren't ready, who are not ready to come out of their hibernation, who are not ready to, come out of their hanged man state, because that's what I'm seeing here. And I'm not saying that the world is one way, that it should be one way. I wouldn't say that the world should be a completely soft and, over empathetic place. I wouldn't say that the world should be a completely hard and, get ready to be bludgeoned type of place either. But if you're here and you're listening, you get to decide where you feel, how you feel. But I'm not going to apologize for my truth. Remember, people, today we are learning about how we can deepen our trust right now, how we can infuse more self-love and compassion with ourselves that doesn't look like taking ourselves off the hook when we know we need to be holding more accountability for ourselves. We're learning from challenges. We're learning from our self-respect and discipline. And we're letting ourselves realize that we don't have the full picture. And all you can do is give your effort. So, that is all. Thank you for listening. If you would love to follow this podcast, stay updated with me, follow and check out my TikTok as well. I really want to start posting a little bit more about how I honestly feel and what I honestly think. So thank you for being a part of that today. And I will catch you on the flip side.